And it's an historical FDA AdCom, largely because this may well be the first drug ever approved specifically for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The advisory committee is a full-day meeting that will occur and start at 8 a.m. And the first part of the committee meeting is the company itself presents their data that they've done in written form. They'll do it in oral and a public form for about 2 hours to the advisory committee and to the FDA staff itself. That's intended to put the data from the company in a clear light for the FDA and the advisory committee to interpret and consider. Then the FDA staff itself reviews their interpretation of all of the company's data, and that's intended to go to the advisory committee because they're asking the advisory committee for their advice on should Eteplirsen be approved or not. After a brief lunch, then there's an open public hearing part of the meeting. The open public hearing components happen, they're scheduled to start at 12:40. They're scheduled to occur for at least 2 hours, where we'll hear from probably about 40 different patient advocacy scientists and clinicians during that period. Then after that period, there's an open discussion where the FDA may have questions for the AdCom and the company. The AdCom itself may have questions for the FDA and the company as well. So it's that next period is open discussion in terms of trying to clarify some of the issues that were raised during the previous few hours of testimony.
Traditionally, at the end of that, the advisory committee is asked to vote and give their opinion as to whether or not the drug should be approved. And they could have just made a decision. The fact that they're having an advisory committee means they want input. They want input from external advisors and they want input from the public. And so this is their opportunity to hear from both of those camps.
Yeah, it's important to realize as well that the FDA must make their decisions based on sound scientific reasoning, and that we don't want a drug approval process that approves drugs for which there's no evidence. However, in this instance, we have a small study over a relatively long period showing a substantial deviation from the natural history of Duchenne.
And so after the advisory committee meets and votes, there's a period of time where the FDA is allowed to review the consideration of the advisory committee, and by the PDUFA date, they need to tell the public and make, as well as the sponsor, a final decision.